Coaches. I'm Heike Fallon. I got Shannon here with me. We're talking about time management today. So you definitely want to stick this one out all the way to the end, because Shannon, tell me.
Yes, I love time management, and I find it so interesting because people really resist the structure of time management. They push back, they want more, they want to have spontaneity, they want to have freedom in their day. However, the science proves the opposite, that when you have tools and systems in place, it gives you more freedom and more spontaneity for your day. So I always find this really interesting when people push back, which I'm one of those people who pushes back.
And no, I love to be more spontaneous, but the truth is, all we need to really do implement a few strategies that have been proven to really make an impact. It's not like you got to schedule your whole day. It's really about a couple different strategies that we're going to share today, that you can implement fairly easy. And the truth is, if you don't, it has such an impact. I mean, if you're feeling stressed, if you're not sleeping,
Yeah.
if you might find yourself very irritated and, in your relationships, maybe being a little snappy, all of those behaviors can be signs of that you're not managing your energy and your time very well. And to do so, it's
well, I think you hit it on the nail with the energy, because when we spend so much time and energy thinking about, oh, what am I supposed to do today? And what am I supposed, I go into my office and you're just trying to figure out, what am I supposed to do? That's so much energy and time wasted when you could be spending that brain power just going, okay, I know what I'm supposed to do. And that frees up more time during your day. And it takes that anxiety away, takes that stress away from your day.
It's also, it's the overall well-being that it's our and big component right there, right in the get-go, right here with the brain energy and the way the brain functions. If we don't have a certain amount of structure, the brain uses way too much energy.
Yeah.
Thinking we can just multitask, because that's what it ends up. If we don't have a structure and we want to have that spontaneous kind of approach, it ends up that, I mean, definitely I've been there. You do one thing and then you might be distracted because somebody wants something else, or you kind of like go with, you still need to finish something else, but something. The problem is, you need, research shown, 17 minutes or something in a couple seconds to get back to focusing. So you're actually losing focus. So whenever
every time you're trying to figure out what to do, that's a wasted 17 minutes.
Exactly. Like, you don't think, you go like, no, I get back into it in 5 minutes. Not on the same level of focus and productivity if you're really sticking to one task at a time and you have it a little bit more structured and laid out. And as you said, the better you actually manage your time, the more freedom you end up, the more time you end up having, and the more freedom have to do something.
It's so counterproductive, right? I mean, you think it's going to be the opposite. And again, I've had clients push back and say, I don't want to do that because I want to be able to just go through my day. And like, I get it, but it's counterintuitive. If you have a structure to your day, you're going to have more freedom. So what are the tools?
Well, one really good tool that I share, so being a holistic self-leadership coach, that's what I do with my clients. One strategy I love, and I put it right here, it's called the Eisenhower Matrix. And what you
Eisenhower Matrix,
you kind of have, they got a little bit of
you got a little water or coffee there.
Say that because we always have water with the coffee, right? Got to have water with coffee. If you're a coffee drinker, make sure you have some water. There you go. So this is called the Eisenhower Matrix, and what it says here, you make yourself a little squares like this: urgent, non-urgent, important, not important. And there's certain tasks and things that you need to do because they are important and urgent, right? There's certain things that are important but not urgent. Those you want to schedule. There's certain things that are not important but kind of urgent. You want to maybe delegate to somebody else. And there's certain, am I moving? Non-urgent and not important, no, non-urgent and not important, like backwards, right? Limit. You might want to cut them out. Maybe they gonna be pushed on the back burner parking lot for now because you don't need to work on them at all, or some of them you may not need at all. And with
Right.
that, that is a great, yeah, I don't know, I got a little water thing there. So this is a great strategy, which does not take much time, but that already gives you more structure. The brain knows quicker. When you know I'm going to work on something, you can go right to your list. And obviously you would fill what says do, you would fill in your actual tasks in this matrix. And then you know, hey, you know what? I need to do this.
Question.
Sure.
Can you tell as a teacher? Now, I would suggest, and I'm wondering how you would implement this. I would suggest doing this at the beginning of the week as well as every morning.
Yes. So, well, for the morning, I have a different strategy. But at the end of the day, we're sharing a bunch of strategies today, right? At the end of the day, you have to find the one that works for you.
Yeah.
You don't have to do them all. Just everybody has to figure out what works for them, because we're not all the same. And I'm a very structured person. I like things structured. So I'm all in for all strategies. But
yeah.
Somebody more on the, hey, I like a little more, and I like to be spontaneous.
Yeah.
Wrong. I love being spontaneous, but I do like to structure. So this is something I do more on a monthly base as well as on a weekly base. So to really plan out, like what needs to be done in the next month or two, I really like it for that. And I personally like it for on a weekly basis. Now, totally can be done on a daily basis. So that is one strategy I think that works really well. Of course, with we're going to go a little deeper into what's all needed, because when we talk limit, we talk and also sometimes boundaries. So we'll get into that a little later, right? So that's one. But the other one that I really, really love in the morning, and I started implementing about 4 years ago, and that's really been helping me for the daily basis, is called the needle mover versus to-do list.
Yeah.
And that's the one I do in the morning, every morning. So for me, that's what it means is you have your to-do list for the day. So that would mean you already have figured out this part, right? Your to-dos, which is all the things that need to get done. And those are the things for that day. And I look at it and I look at the different tasks and decide, is this particular task something that is really important for me in my goals and my vision and what I want to accomplish? And those get priority. That's how I prioritize. And the other ones on there could be something, it'd be good if I get them done. It's kind of urgent, but some of them might be falling into the non-urgent. I don't know yet, but they're like they're not needle movers. They're not really impact. I always use the example of like laundry, for example. Does it need to be really done today? Probably not. Some of it, but probably not, right? Or the ones that I need maybe for tomorrow, they got to do now. But those are like things that need to get done, but they're not like that urgent necessarily. So they might be on my list for today, but I may not do them. But they're not my needle movers, because if you want to be, not just productive, but also, like we said in the beginning, not as stressed. If we want to be managing our energy, if we want to really show up as our best self for our relationships, it really helps to be more structured and really knowing what we need to do and what are the most important things, and do those first.
And I'm the person who resists, and I continue to resist. Even though I know the data, even though I know the science, I continue to resist. And I think something else that's really important is if you have someone who can help hold you accountable, I think that's very helpful. So my husband and I, we really try very hard, and we notice when we let it go, but we try really hard at the beginning of the week to plan certain things out. And I've talked about this in the past in other videos, but we really try to plan out at the least, bare minimum, what our dinners are going to be for the week. Who's going to take who to whatever practices, when are we going to work out? And that's at like the bare minimum. And that takes that pressure off. And when we don't do it, we find ourselves flailing about every day, like, oh my God, we need to figure out dinner. And I
I
mean,
think
this is something that we every
it goes,
day we have to eat dinner. It's
no,
not new.
I thought you were gonna do today. No, what? And then it turns also in stress in relationships, right?
Yeah. And it's like, oh, then we're gonna order out, and well, then we're gonna eat crappy food, and that's a whole other topic, right?
So
So we do try to meal plan as best we can, and I know how like that has a negative connotation to some people, but it has been very helpful for us, and that is just at the bare minimum. When I start my days like you're talking about, where it's okay, what's going to move the needle today? What needs to get done? What can be pushed off to tomorrow? And it's just three things, right? I'm not going to have a list of 10.
yeah, yeah.
It's going to be at most three things. And if I get those done within an hour, great. If I have time to do the things that I could do tomorrow, then I can move on to that. Or what we all have been saying, we have more time freedom.
No, I
And
used to it's like long to-do lists, and it does. You have to cut that down. And
yeah.
that's where this strategy comes in good, to cut it really down, and you should not have too many things in the to-do. It
Which
needs
I think is where we fail. I think that's where it's easy to fail, right? Where we make a to-do list. If there's 10 things on it, we can't get all that done in a day.
that's one huge component, is that comes with the accountability is one, like you said, right? But it's also, as you said too, the awareness first of like, what's going on here? Am I procrastinating, and why am I procrastinating? Is it afraid of something, or is it just I'm not motivated, or is it because it's not laziness, right? It's usually
No,
something going on, whatever it be.
your
But
brain is protecting you.
yes, but oftentimes it's also like, I used to be definitely one of those, like, that was not a realistic list. There's no way anybody could get all of these things done
Right.
in
And when it looks too overwhelming, we're not going to do it. At least for me, because I'm a procrastinator.
that's
If it looks too overwhelming, I'm going to be like, nope, bye.
then
And
you
then I don't do any of it.
then you don't do anything. Again, this is what it helps. If you're somebody who feels overwhelmed and your list is too long, you got to apply the strategy, because it structures all that. But the truth is, there was no way realistically all of those things on the to-do list could get done in the time frame available, because I was also not realistic with the time frame that I had available. Because the truth is, I did not have time allocated for lunch, for example. It does take time to eat lunch. So
Lunch is good.
you eat it, but you don't have it, right? Like in there, and you do need, we keep thinking our brain is like a computer and we can just do. We do need time, transition time, for example, between things we do, where we maybe take a deep breath, have a coffee. I have an afternoon coffee. So what I started doing is, like, I used to have that afternoon, my early afternoon coffee kind of, oh, I make it and then I keep going. No, I have been for the last, oh gosh, probably eight years at least, where I'm going like, no,
Oh, wow.
I'm the afternoon coffee. I sit down and use that almost like as a meditative kind of mindful movement. Well, I'm like, no, I'm just sitting there, I'm enjoying my coffee, and I'm taking a break. Because if we're taking a break, and we need to schedule that in our time management, it helps us to be more productive and get actually more done. But instead of thinking we got to be on the go all the time, because our brains aren't designed like that, we do need downtime, and we need to schedule that. So now I schedule.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think it's interesting that you do it, at a certain time, mid-afternoon, which is when we generally, a lot of us get a slump.
Yep.
And that's when we do need that time to just let our bodies and our brains, like, we start off like this, but mid-afternoon we have that slump, and we need to just listen to our bodies.
Yep.
And take that time to rest.
So when I'm talking time management, I'm always saying too, you do need to figure out and or make sure to schedule time that is downtime, that is a break time, that's the me time, whatever you want to call it, but there needs to be a little chunk of time every day. I'm not talking about hours long. I'm not saying
Right.
go do and neglect everything else. I mean, I sit there for about 15 minutes and enjoy my coffee, and really it's a time where I really don't do anything. And I'm gonna admit, the first few months, it took a while. I would be sitting there thinking like, I need to do something. I need to like but I could do this one phone call and I could do that. I also mindful not to be on the phone, because just to really, our brains need true downtime. So not being on the phone, not being on the screen, don't do a phone call, have a moment, 10 minutes, 15 minutes that you actually schedule in the whole time management where you don't do anything, because the brain needs it. It helps to also digest really the things that were going on up to that time. It needs that moment of not thinking.
Yeah.
That is when we're talking time management, that's part of creating good time management, is to make the time also available, not just so you have a break, but actually your brain recharges in that break and gets better. And the same thing goes for if somebody does like taking naps. I always get that question. Yes, a nap can be helpful. It's a very fine line how long and how it's effective, but you will get more done and be more efficient with your time if you do make sure you take a break or you take a little nap, whatever be.
I take a little 15-minute, and it's not supposed to be more than 10 or 15 minutes from the science.
I mean, I think I saw research too. You should not do more than 60 minutes. But if I do say, everybody's different, right? When I do 60 minutes, then I'm a mess. Then nothing happens.
Dude, I'm not functioning after that.
You have to also figure out what is the right time for you, right? When are you starting? If you're sitting there too long or you're doing something too long, when that gets it into now you've getting distracted. You need to figure out, really pay attention and create an awareness of how much time do I need so that it recharges me.
Right.
So the
it's not to like be lazy, it's to recharge. And I think if you go into it thinking, okay, this is to recharge.
Yes, so it can be for somebody 10, 15-minute nap, 20 minutes. If I do more than 30 minutes, that's my like absolute cutoff. So I need to really make sure not to get a lot, like 20 minutes is perfect for me, but also with the other things, right? So with that said, so those are strategies to implement. Another really good one that I've been doing as well is block scheduling. So really, that doesn't mean you can't change them for anybody who wants to be spontaneous. It doesn't mean you can't move the blocks, but I have certain blocks scheduled every day where I work or where I do my calls. Like I usually do all the things that are not as important, like calling for appointments or following up with something that don't need much brain bandwidth. The early afternoon, when that you said slump comes, right? That's a block where I do that. But in the mornings when I'm most productive, I have a block where I do my needle movers. Now, can those blocks always move a little bit? Absolutely. But having that block schedule helps your brain to also kind of keep it more simple and structured. And then you also know, okay, I'm working on the most important things in this time frame. And like you said earlier, that gets us really faster going instead of sitting there like, oh, should I do now my calls? Should I do my follow-up?
Right.
What should I do now? Right. If you have
well, and I think what's important to know about this is to know yourself and to know when you function best. For me, I know that I'm a slow starter. I need a morning to wake up. I need a workout before. But that time after that is when I'm going to get my stuff done. Like my important stuff where I need my full brain, where I need to be creative. That's when I'm going to be creative. My mid-afternoon is when I'm like that's like what you're saying. Like, I know for myself, I have very low energy at that point. That's when I need to like make a phone call to get my prescriptions, do whatever it is that like are just like annoying little tasks, but don't take any brain power.
Yeah, yeah. No,
And
so
then sometimes at night I get more creative again, and that's when I can work again.
so let me ask you that too, because you work with a lot of your clients gone through miscarriages, and there's
Mhm.
the whole emotional component of grief and
Mhm.
time management could be.
Time management is really difficult, and I've worked with a lot of women through it who there, you know, there are different ways to look at it. Some are, I'm just going to completely ignore the grief and I'm going to go through my day and fill every moment of my day so I don't have to pay attention to the grief. And then there are other women who are, I don't want to do anything, and I want to um, lay in bed and not have any structure to my day. And I would say there needs to be somewhat of a happy medium. Um, have a structure around your day. It's really difficult to do any at the very beginning of grief. It's really hard to do anything, right? Like just remembering to eat, remembering to get up and take a shower. Those things are very difficult to complete. So at the very beginning of grief, putting that into your day, into your schedule, like, okay, today I'm going to remember to like eat 2 to 3 meals, healthy meals. um, and for the women who, for anyone who's really has a hard time giving themselves time to grieve, I would schedule it. And that sounds weird, but if you're still going to work and if you're still trying to do certain things and fill your time and not take care of your grief, adding a 20 to 30-minute time to just let yourself be. And whatever comes up at that time, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to cry during that time. You don't have to be angry at that time, but just let yourself recognize, okay, this is my time. This is my space. Like, I'm going to go to my room or I'm going to go to my office. This is going to be my place where I can just grieve. And I know it sounds really weird to structure time to grieve, but we're very often taught to not acknowledge it. And when we put it into our schedule, it gives us that excuse to acknowledge it.
Yeah, and really time management, as you said, is so important for healing.
Yeah.
In healing and also finding back a rhythm. So for the ones that are, like you said, having no structure and they're letting everything go, the problem is we also don't get certain dopamine release that we need from
Right.
something, right? So
Yeah.
a little bit scheduled in there gives us actually motivation, creates motivation by getting certain chemical releases by just accomplishing something, right?
Yeah.
And the other ones do need to schedule the healing grief time, which again, if you manage that really well, I love that you said it needs to be really a happy medium, whatever it be, of course, for every person is different, but with any of that, it's finding what works for you, but also understanding that certain components are important because of that's how our functions. And if we're not utilizing that, another thing that works really well is for anybody who would love to be more productive is to really say, I'm going to set a timer actually for 25 minutes, 30 minutes, and really, really focus on one task. And
Yeah, that's what I do.
get that really honed in and letting people know, setting the boundaries, don't disturb me, don't touch the phone, like really.
Well, and we do have a video about boundaries, and I think this is a really good point. If you want to see our video about boundaries, go back and look for it. But that's a really good point of put on your do not disturb on your phone.
Yep.
It's just for 20 to 30 minutes. And then when you're done with that time of work, you can turn it back on. But put that time on there so that people know, okay, she's working.
Exactly. So, and it's at the end of the day, and that one episode is called really healthy boundaries, because it is what we need to do for our health. So great strategies we got there. We got the
Yeah,
Eisenhower matrix.
I
Okay.
love that one.
Yeah, we have the needle mover versus to-do list strategy. We do have the block schedule. We
Mhm.
do have the focus of like 25, 30 minute focus. Do not go past the 45, 50-minute focus.
No, your brain will not work.
Needs a break and you cannot focus that long. So the 25-minute is actually 25, 30-minute is really a good one. And the taking the downtime or break time, whatever you call that, that is important in time management. And the last thing I want to address is your environment. So when you schedule, when you do time management, it also matters of figuring out where you're going to be. It is related to also our environment, how well we function and what we do. So just be aware of where you can focus more, where you can, relax better, whatever it be. With time management comes also the component of where are we in space? Am I sitting on my computer or desk and getting focused? If I'm trying to relax there, it's not going to happen.
Right.
So figuring out in that as well, we can be much more not just productive, but also it's healthier to really figure out what am I doing where is part of time management as well. So
Yeah, I love that. That's very important to remember.
So wow, we covered a couple of good ones. Did we miss any?
Yeah.
Anybody has any good ones too that they do, comment below the video, because hey,
We can always make another video if we think of something.
I always love to learn new ones. So if anybody has any new ones, but this was it. Coffee with coaches.
I just got my water.
Mine is empty. We're switching to water. So this was awesome. So yes, even if you want more spontaneity. If you want spontaneous, I'm going to go with that one. If you want to be more spontaneous, actually start working on better time management, because better time management lets you be more spontaneous. Good way to get around it. But more productive. Your relationships will be better. You will be less irritated. It's healthier.
You'll have less anxiety, less stress.
For more fulfillment. Everything. Life is better if you have better time management. So with that said, have a wonderful one. I'm so excited. This was a great video.
Yeah. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
Bye.